Retribution. From inside the White House. When there's an opportunity, he will go for it.
Washington is hearing it out loud, not from Donald Trump, but from the woman who knows him best. When there's an opportunity, he will go for it. Those words on retribution come not from a rival, not from a critic, but from Trump's own chief of staff. This is Susie Wiles, the power behind the West Wing curtain, rarely interviewed, almost never quoted, until now. Vanity Fair has published a two-part profile based on 11 interviews with Susie Wiles over an entire year, offering one of the clearest windows yet into the mindset of the most powerful man in the world. Susie Wiles has worked with Donald Trump since 2015. She survived campaigns, indictments, impeachments, and now runs a second-term White House. And what she says in this profile is politically explosive. Susie Wiles calls Trump someone with what she describes as an alcoholic's personality, not about drinking, but about mindset. A man who believes there's nothing he can't do, nothing, zero. Asked directly whether the administration's actions against Trump's critics amount to retribution, Wiles doesn't dodge. On New York Attorney General Letitia James, she says, well, that might be the one retribution. Pressed further, she adds, I don't think he wakes up thinking about retribution, but when there's an opportunity, he will go for it. That single sentence now defines the debate around Trump's second term. Wiles reveals there was a loose agreement with Trump. Score settling would end after the first 90 days in office. But reality didn't follow the script. Trump continued to publicly pressure his Justice Department, calling for prosecutions of critics, including former FBI Director James Comey, New York AG Letitia James, and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff, even posting on Truth Social that they were all guilty as hell. Here's what followed. Federal courts dismissed indictments against both James and Comey, not on technicalities, but because the prosecutor was found to be unlawfully appointed. Then grand juries refused to indict again. And yet, as NBC News reports, prosecutors insist there should be no premature celebrations. The message, the door isn't shut. Wiles doesn't argue these actions don't look vindictive. On the Comey case, she admits, people could think it does look vindictive. I can't tell you why you shouldn't think that. On Letitia James, who once secured a $500 million civil judgment against Trump, Wiles laughs. She had $500 million of his money. No apology, no denial, just acknowledgement. The White House is now in damage control mode. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt insists Wiles has helped Trump achieve the most successful first 11 months in office of any president in American history. She calls Wiles Trump's most loyal advisor. The Justice Department declines comment, pointing only to the White House statement.
This is, unfortunately, another example of disingenuous reporting, where you have a reporter who took the Chief of Staff's words wildly out of context, did not include the context those conversations were had within. And then further, I think the most egregious part of this article was the bias of omission that was clearly present. And we see a lot of this when dealing with the media every day. You will leave out important context, leave out comments and facts. You know, many people in this building spoke with that reporter, and those comments were never included in the story, probably because it didn't push this false narrative of chaos and confusion that the reporter was clearly trying to push. So what I'll say about our Chief of Staff, as you've seen from not just myself, but also the entire cabinet, and a groundswell of support from people on Capitol Hill who don't even work in this building, about how incredible Susie Wiles has been to President Trump. And he's been able to accomplish so much because of his leadership and his tenacity, but also because of Chief of Staff Wiles's leadership and her ability to effectuate his agenda.
And Wiles herself takes to X, calling the Vanity Fair profile a disingenuously framed hit piece. Wiles also criticizes Vice President J.D. Vance as a conspiracy theorist for a decade and says Attorney General Pam Bondi completely whiffed on handling the Jeffrey Epstein files, angering Trump's own base. This interview matters because it reframes the Trump presidency, not as chaos, not as impulse, but as something more deliberate. Wiles says Trump's governing instinct is simple. I don't want what happened to me to happen to somebody else. Yet she concedes when accountability meets opportunity, retribution can happen. And in this White House, power is not restrained by hesitation.